Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of Untapped. We've got Levi Kelly right here, deep into preparation for spring training on the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I'm Kyle Hannon, world record holder, surviving the most chemotherapy and the cancer patient with the largest biceps in the world. So we've just already been stoked, already been deep into talks about the UFC 284 event last night. This was like, for us, I think this was the Super Bowl. What are you guys' thoughts on the big fight? We had Islam versus Volk last night. That was just epic.
Do you think they got the scoring right?
Whew.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so too. I didn't want him to be right, but
Yeah.
I don't know where everyone's getting off that he won.
Yeah.
Volk. I don't know.
It's frustrating because if the fight went on, what would have happened?
yeah.
If there was no time limit, maybe the pound for pound fight should go old school and be no time limit.
Yeah, if, one more round, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
They could have went 10.
Yeah. He looked gassed too at the end, I thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the rounds. I know that round one was close. People were saying both things, I think.
Bro,
but
round one, he had his back, remember? And he almost choked him out. He was, cranking on
Islam had Volk's back.
Yeah. He had it for a good 3 minutes, I think.
Okay, so round one wasn't that close.
Definitely. I felt like Islam won round one.
Round one, and then, but two was close.
Yeah, two was close. I felt could have gone either way on two. Volk got up from a takedown in that round. I thought that was big.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's always like something that always happens is the judges, you can only watch one fighter.
True.
So like when
True.
you're watching every movement of one fighter, you might lean towards them on
Very
this
true.
or that versus, and I feel like that's probably what everyone's probably watching Volk because everyone likes him.
That's true.
So
I thought the crowd was maybe going to swing it for him.
Yeah, that crowd was fun.
Yeah,
They were going
Same.
crazy. Because, I mean, it's kind of been that way in the past. Like, the crowd can swing the judges.
I agree.
But I thought they had the right decision. I think that Volk can definitely win that fight. But, I think maybe if they fight again, he does win because he's even more confident going in.
yeah, and if Islam's been training wrestling how he has been since he was, 2, how much better can he really get?
Yeah.
He'd have to be like really tricky. Like Volk can actually get better because he's not him.
I think the biggest thing was the strength.
Yeah.
Like, nobody else has been able to break that lock.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, when he was up against the cage and working on his hands, Volk was able to break that.
Yeah.
And
As
nobody
time
else
went
has
on.
been able to do that.
Yeah, I felt like the cardio played a factor because round one, look like Volk couldn't break it, but round two, that's when he was able to start breaking it. By the end of the fight, felt like he was getting the edge on the wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a neck. Like, Volk, seriously, there's not much space there for him to slide his arm in there.
Good call.
Like 90% head.
Yeah. I liked when he was on his back and he was beating him up from behind and he was kind of talking shit to him too.
Yeah.
was
But do you
dope.
give him points for that? Because that's what probably people are looking at and being like, oh, yeah, Volk's got the better of him there. It's like,
I don't think
no.
so. No. I think if somebody's on your back, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I think the whole scoring system needs to be revamped. It's just a question, how do you do it? And then you got a history behind the scoring system. So you got a comparative. It's kind of like the baseball deal too.
Mm-hmm.
Is like if you change the 162 game format and all that, then you're going to be messing with all of the the history and the records, and there's emotions attached to it. But it's like there's a 10-point system, and the UFC rarely scores 10-8 rounds. They will, but I don't think 10-7 has ever been scored, right? They do in boxing sometimes.
I guess if it's a 10-8 and a point is taken away or something.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah,
there you
true.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing will do 10-7 if the fighter is just like knocked down a couple times and just super beat up and stuff. But I was kind of thinking like maybe they should do, at least stretch the points out a little bit more. So maybe even the final round, maybe you get a little bit of an extra point or something. So you get a 10-9 round if it's pretty close, but one fighter kind of edges it. If it's a little more dominant, 10-8, 10-7 is like maybe like almost how, when a fighter's just getting what a 10-8 round is now. And that would give a little bit more latitude in the scoring, because I think the judges feel pressured to score some of those close rounds one way or another, 10-9, and the 10-9 doesn't capture how far down that spread is between the 10 and the 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you would argue that if you're going to score it that way, you could argue that the last round was 10-8 Volk. But people would also argue that the
first round
is 10-8.
Yep, 100%.
Islam.
Because Volk, I don't think it's hard to say. He was ground and pounding him. In Islam, it was like he was weathering a storm down there. If it went another minute, I don't know if he had it. He was eating some big shots.
I guess you could make like 10-8 close to being finished at the end if you're close to being finished and you kind of saved by the bell.
There you go. Good call.
Then 10-8.
I like that. Yeah, that's
like,
a good call.
But then if somebody's been on your back for a minute and they're still chilling on your back and the round ends,
right,
then that would also be a 10-8.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I like
I
that,
don't know.
man.
It's so tough. I have no clue.
And I think some of the judges don't know MMA.
Nah,
No.
I agree with you.
And the difference between Islam's the submission game, like knowing where, right here he's really dangerous right here, or they don't know any of that stuff.
Why don't they have former fighters do judging?
Right.
I guess the commission controls that, not the UFC.
Biases and things too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Attachments.
You would think there's biases though with these guys.
It just depends on how much they watch.
It's no different than the NBA where these referees are fans of certain basketball
That's
teams,
true.
or
That's
certain
true.
players.
I feel like be interesting to talk a little bit about I almost feel like the Dagestani myth has been kind of picked up a little bit. Like I heard a lot of people saying like Islam, he's indestructible. This guy's, the Dagestani Khabib. He's never beat. Nobody can touch these guys. But there's a lot of people that didn't see the Benson Henderson Memedov fight at Bellator was a couple fights ago, and this guy he's a protege at Khabib. I think it's the last fight that Khabib cornered. He was there for that guy, and he's 6 foot, 155. He's scary, just like Islam is. And Benson, he had a real good strategy. I think he did a lot of things that Volk was doing with countering some of the wrestling. Like they were really stuck on that step over. I guess he was getting some of that from Craig Jones, right? But watching that fight against Henderson and Memedov, one of the best fights I've ever seen. Benson won it, and I felt like he kind of showed the code to crack what these guys are doing. In that he used a lot of scrappy jiu-jitsu, and I keep thinking about Sugar. I was trying to rate the Sugar. What the hell is the last fight? The Sugar's last fight. Peter, yeah, the last fight there. That skill level in that fight, when the intensity in that fight was way up there. And if you look, this fight is way up there too. But how would Sugar fare, against a guy with the skill set like Islam? Because you could say Jan is kind of in that same set of, you know what I mean? But I guess I'm going back to I'm going all around. But the Dagestani, these guys are beatable. They're humans.
Right.
Well, it would be Cejudo.
As far as you're talking like the untouchables, these people, they're putting them on like this pedestal.
Exactly.
Like Peter, nobody wants to fight Peter because he's this crazy Terminator.
There you go.
And then you beat it. I always think about there was a track event that I think it was the mile that nobody had ran a certain.
We're just talking about that.
Were you talking about this?
I don't
earlier?
know. I don't know if we're talking about the
nobody
this
had
event,
ran.
but
Nobody had ran it in this time.
4
ever.
minute mile.
And then
Bannister or something. What was his name?
Yeah.
He does it, and then everyone starts.
Yeah, man.
That's literally what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
That's into the Untapped. That fits.
It's the same.
Oh,
to me, it's and I think that
absolutely.
Volk, like the same thing happened to Volk. Is the first 2 rounds he was like, I don't know. He said that he was confident, and I'm sure he was because he prepared, but there was a switch that was made in the 3rd round that was like, this dude's not as good as everybody thinks he is. Mm-hmm. And when he made that switch is kind of when he started to take over, or at least not fear the grappling so much. Early in the fight, you would see him Islam would feint a takedown, and Volk would react massively.
Yeah.
Later in the fight, it wasn't happening.
No.
How about that one takedown though? I think was that round 4 when Islam surprised him. You see how, I mean, that was one of the fastest, craziest takedowns I've ever seen. But Volk, didn't he? No, he did hold him down in that round, right?
Maybe.
I don't remember. I remember the takedown.
Yeah.
It was, to me, that's like as a fighter, that's predetermined. You're waiting. You're almost like, okay, I'm shooting. I'm waiting on the next punch. And as soon as I think he's going to, boom, you're trying to time. In your head, you've already made up that you're going to shoot.
I think after that round, I thought like, oh, he'd go back to the corner and like Eugene and his corner is going to tell Volk like, hey, when he shoots again, throw a knee. I didn't see any. I was expecting Volk to get like nasty like that, where on any entry he was going to just knee him.
Yeah.
But
Volk did look short though.
he looked tiny, yeah.
Small too.
He's got a
Islam is big.
inch reach on Islam.
And Islam struggles to make weight, so it's like how.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a crazy build. Volk has an inch reach on. How is that possible? He's like 5'5".
I think the pound for pound should stay the same though, because pound for pound, to me, Volk's better. Like pound
Truth.
for pound,
Easily.
because he's smaller.
Yeah.
He's the one
without
who
a
went
doubt.
up and risked it.
Right.
Islam would have to go down and.
What would happen if Islam cut? I mean, Islam couldn't make 45.
no
No,
chance.
he
No
couldn't.
way.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's too. Where is he going
Unless
to
he
lose
starts working
anything?
with TJ Dillashaw. Well, EPO.
Who knows if he are, I feel like these guys already are in some way. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying like the way how cut he was for that. Where is he going to lose any more weight?
True.
He'd have to lose muscle, and he's not losing any muscle.
No, he's not cut.
I gotta give a lot of respect to Islam for walking into that Aussie crowd though. They were insane. Imagine how that felt.
Yeah. I'm sure he probably fucking loved it.
Let's run it back in Russia.
Yeah, I'm sure he loved
What?
it.
How do you guys feel about him? Like, does that fight show that Khabib is the legend everyone says he is, or do you? Because I think Islam's striking is way sharper than Khabib's, like on another level compared to.
Maybe advance in the science of where it's going in the sport. Like it just continues to evolve. I get frustrated with Khabib. I was frustrated for a minute because there was a fight where I felt like he kind of pulled out against Ferguson. I feel like he kind of picked and chose some of his fights, which is smart. But if you're going to see a guy versus a guy like McGregor who just fights at any weight at any time,
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the McGregor fan of me talking though.
Did you see Nate tweet after the fight?
Yeah. Nate's always talking shit.
He's like, Islam got your ass beat or something like that. It's hilarious.
Because that's the way Nate fight. Like,
yeah.
Nate's a beat you at the end type guy. Like, I think Nate's head is like, if you couldn't kill me, then I won.
Yep.
Because I was about to kill you.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You know?
That's true.
What else we got? Super Bowl.
Yeah. You watching that today?
I'll probably watch a little bit. I'm not that into it, but
yeah.
I just bought.
Yeah.
The halftime show. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
There's a
Rihanna.
bunch of people here for it though. They said 1,000+ private jets flew into Scottsdale.
Oh yeah.
What?
When I was driving home Friday night from work, I stayed late. There was so many planes in the sky. It was crazy. Like you just saw lights everywhere.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm tripping out on what people are getting for Airbnb because you get a 1-bedroom apartment near the vicinity, just within a mile or two of the stadium, and you're getting 8,000 just for 5 days. And then I was talking to a neighbor, and I guess another neighbor is like a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and they rented theirs out for the same, and we're probably about 10 miles away from the stadium. So that trips me out. I just couldn't I don't know if I could open the house up for Airbnb on a Super Bowl party or something.
Yeah, you come back, there's a hole in the wall.
That's a lot worse than that.
But I mean, you almost want them to fuck your shit up because if they do, then now it has to be covered by them.
New things.
I hope, yeah, right. I hope you break the TV because I remember one time I wrecked a ATV up in Sedona, and I could still drive it. It was still it was honestly fine. There was some plastic busted on it, and I had to pay for it was the repair, and then also every day that they couldn't rent it. So it was ended up being a ridiculous amount of money.
Could have bought
But
it.
to them, they could have still also rented it out.
Yeah.
But because I
Right.
signed the contract, I was stuck. It was $2,500 incident. Yeah, that was not good.
What about Yair's fight? I don't know
Oh,
what you guys
yeah.
think
Why did
about
I just
that.
glossed over that? That was insane fighter. He's such a cool, humble dude. I like him.
He got cracked a couple times too.
That's
Yeah, he
true.
did.
That dude though, he's just throwing heavy right
he
hand.
does, man.
He's just waiting on that one shot, and he landed it a couple times, but that guy was still there.
Yeah.
I love how he finished with the triangle. He's
Same.
super scrappy.
He tapped when he was adjusting it too.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I think Emmett was already.
Yeah.
I mean, he was gonna.
out.
That triangle's tight anyway, but
Yeah.
I think mentally he was already checked out.
Someone said Yair broke his rib on one of the kicks in the
Wowzers.
first
I
round.
thought he broke his forearm too, bro.
Yeah.
He was getting
I wouldn't be
when he was
surprised.
blocking it.
Yeah.
Man.
A couple times you heard like, crack.
Oh, Yair was fast. Him and Sean would be a crazy fight.
Yeah,
Like that would be awesome.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
That could be a realistic fight.
Oh yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, because I don't think Volk is going to be around when Sean's fighting at 45.
No,
I
he'll be fighting at 170.
Yeah, or he'll just be done.
Imagine.
He'll be finished at that point, I think.
How about Volk's background too is so amazing to me. Here's a guy who weighed 210 pounds or something like that, playing rugby, probably drinking beers and stuff, and then he just decides to drop it and start training MMA. And it kind of goes to the Levi, your example all the time of he's an athlete. He was, no matter what, this dude's an athlete. And then there's something maybe to that Karen with learning how to carry that weight around and then dropping. It's like your bones almost stay stronger or something. Yeah, there's something to that maybe.
Yeah.
That's why I like your idea of fighting at 170. Because you've been walking around, you're what, like 215, 220 for a little bit?
The highest I've ever been is like 228.
Dang,
But
that's
right
dope.
now I'm probably like 195.
Right on. And it's, I mean, when you were training in Nico's camp, you were right in that spot. You were like right in target of the 170.
I can make 170, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
I can't wait till that happens.
Same, yeah.
That's going to be insane. But imagine, so Volk, I know he wrestled. He's got that. There's something to that, when you do a sport as a kid and you won a national, that's a big deal, man. In Australia, winning a national wrestling title, I think he was 12, and then he kind of dropped it and went into rugby. But imagine you versus Volk. He probably wasn't taking the optimized health seriously, and I think that's a part of the evolution of the sport of where it's going. The science behind it, the caliber of athlete that's coming up is just going to continue to be so much higher.
Yeah. I think that is true, but I also think that they're like the fighters now are softer, way softer than they used to be, and they're going to continue to get more soft.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of is going to be like the whole LeBron James, Michael Jordan thing. It's like,
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're getting softer?
I think
because things are just not as tough as they used to be.
Yeah. Taya was
society.
talking about it last week with her boyfriend in the army. That kind of thing where it's like, well, they eat this way because if you're eating a perfect diet and then all of a sudden you can't, it takes you off your game.
And even the military people, like, I was talking to Marines in San Diego, and I was telling them my dad was a Marine, and he was like, bro, your dad was like an actual Marine.
Right.
And he was like, the Marines now are pussies compared to what it used to be back in the day. And we, like, the current Marines look at the past few, whatever, Marines as like, those dudes were some bad motherfuckers because they had things way harder. Same thing with baseball. Now we eat all this good food, whatever.
Right.
To me, it's still not that healthy. But for the past players, it's like, bro, we were fucking eating Cheez-Its and PB&J. Shut the fuck up. So it's a softer society is so much softer now than like even when I grew up, the things I see with kids now, I'm just like, bro, what? Like that's not where I'm from. That's not how it rolled.
Yeah.
But it's only going to continue to get softer. So like Dana White, I was watching this thing on Dana White. He said, if you're a savage now, getting into the UFC is easier than ever because these people are pussies essentially. Like there's your outliers, but the badass motherfuckers now are like average to below average badass motherfuckers back in the day.
Right.
And it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah, I mean, how many Nate Diaz's are there in the UFC?
There's not. But now if you have Nate Diaz mentality as like a bad motherfucker, plus you have then watch out, because I mean, who knows what they can do. But it's going to be rare. It's going to become harder and harder to get that, because that's not even admired now. Like,
yeah,
no offense to Logan Paul and all those dudes, but that's what's admired, and that's a softer than like whoever, Michael Jordan. You know, that Michael Jordan's is what our generation looked at, and now we're a little bit softer than him. So then the next generation is going to look at us, and they're going to be a little bit softer than us. Then it's going to get softer.
We're just going to turn into Martians, just no muscle. Just
LeBron, I mean, everyone was calling him soft his entire career. He just broke the all-time scoring record in the NBA. But, I mean, even him compared to Michael Jordan, like you said, is like, yeah, I don't know.
Dude, imagine if there was a draft now, like a military draft.
Yeah.
You're going to be sending all these people on fucking TikTok to go fight ISIS. That shit ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
Or whatever, yeah.
Like, it's a real thing. That's
shit.
Most people in the military are, not most, but a lot of people that go into the military, it's like a rougher thing, because like the rich, pretty boy, whatever, soft guys go to college, and these blue collar enlist in the military. So that's why the military is already like tougher than the general population. I'm ranting now, but
what about Call of Duty? Do you think that's a factor?
Call it. I don't even know. I don't play video games.
My Marine buddy, he plays Call of Duty regularly, but I don't know. He's 30. Maybe it suits him now, but I don't play video games either. I think it's not in line with what I spend enough time on my computer doing music as it is. I don't need any more time watching TV shows or whatever.
It's so interesting, because nowadays there's not like, imagine if there was like sword fights and shit in the military. Like, people aren't tough now. Luckily we can just press a button and bomb somewhere, but for our society to get out there and go at it, like, we'd be in fucking trouble probably.
Yeah.
Them Russians would fuck us up.
Yeah, they'd have to enlist all the UFC fighters for hand-to-hand combat.
That's why Sean Strickland was talking about why there's not that many American. I think I said this on an episode already, but American champions, because we're privileged and like we don't have the grit or whatever that the rest of these guys have. No. Granted, there's your outliers, but for the most part, as a general population, I don't know, interesting. But I'm glad we're soft, because things are not as tough as they could be.
Yeah.
Good word. Hey, that was beautiful. I liked it. We got some good stuff out of that. No, definitely.
Did you watch that, Kyle? LeBron breaking the record? I know you like basketball.
I like basketball. I'm not a LeBron guy.
Okay. All right.
I like did you see what, the greatest jiu-jitsu guy of all time said about LeBron?
No.
Yeah, what the heck's his name?
Not Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, Gordon Ryan. He said something. He said real controversial, because he said he's complaining about being a slave and then but what about all the slaves that were used to make his uniform? That's kind of what in his response to his scoring title.
Oh, about with Nike?
Yeah.
I see.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so maybe he's setting up a future fight against LeBron.
A lot of people do talk about that. Yeah. But I guess, I don't know how much of that's in his hands. If Nike offers you $100 million to do your merch, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's really Nike that's doing it.
Yeah. I think he is pointing on something that's a little ridiculous. LeBron complaining that he's a slave, and how much is he making right now? And he's got a job that's pretty fun. He's got a lot of impact.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch much LeBron stuff. I don't even hardly watch basketball. I haven't watched many sports at all. I'm more like,
I like to play. Yeah. I did see there was a lot of trades. I saw the Sun. I try to kind of keep up the local stuff, and the Suns got Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, I saw that.
Kevin Durant.
That's a big deal.
No, it is.
Did I say Garnett?
Yeah,
Man,
you
I'm
did.
back in the 90s.
You just took it back a decade ago. Yeah.
So the Suns must be trying to win if they're making a trade like that.
No, they traded their glue guys. Like, they're two, like,
prospects.
I mean, arguably the best defender in the league right now. His name is Mikal Bridges, and one of the most pure shooters in Cam Johnson. Traded both of them like they were nothing. Like, I mean, it's like heartbreaking for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's do or die this year. This is CP3's last chance probably. Yeah. That's a fun team though. They got a super fun team. It's just they'll probably be WCF Mavs.
I feel like there's so much shit that goes on behind the scenes too. Is like who they got Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So who's selling more jerseys at the fucking team shop?
Right.
Kevin Durant or these 100%. Other two guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
know if that goes into it, but sometimes I think about that.
Being from Chicago, I'm like, we never traded our glue guys ever, and when you did, it hurt. Like, there was a couple guys once they got older. You're like, okay,
yeah,
I understand now. But these guys who are young, who are walking around to the stores at our boy Jared's shop, Cam Johnson used to go to Jared's shop.
That's right. Yeah,
at Many Worlds all the time, and like, I don't know, just that seems insane to me as an organization.
Yeah, that's going to hurt starting next year.
Yeah, because Kevin Durant is not. I mean, he's one of the best scorers of all time. Can get his shot no matter what, but he's old now. He's like 30.
Yeah, this is his last shot too before he starts the.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
What about the Mavs? They picked up Irving.
Yeah,
that's a nice team right now, and no, I feel like Doncic, right? I always get these guys mixed up, but I feel like he's not getting the respect he's deserving because he's averaging a triple-double right now.
He's 23. What the hell? Yeah, he's your age.
Their owner, what's his name?
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, was talking about how that guy's the top 5 player in the league.
100%.
Like, you can't even negotiate.
I think he's number one. I mean, triple-double, averaging triple-double. We hear about LeBron James all the time, but this guy at that age, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. If anything, when I watch him play, he could do less. For sure. Like, not have the ball in his hands as much as he does, which is why having Kyrie's a good addition. But
they might be hard. That's going to be I might tune in for the Suns versus Mavs.
Yeah.
They hit it up in the finals.
What about the Diamondbacks?
Dude, I don't know about those cats.
How are they looking?
No, they should be good. I mean, the guys that are like, they have we have it's just weird. Like, you talk about the major league team, and then like, I'm not in big league camp or anything, so it's just different. But it's trending in the right direction. I'll say that. I don't know. Like, I try to just focus on kind of what I'm doing right now, and not look too far ahead on like because I'm not in the big leagues yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly what the other like teams in the league. I know the Dodgers are down a tick, and I think the Diamondbacks can make a run, especially for a wild card spot. Obviously, your goal is to win the division, but I think to get into playoffs this year is a real possibility.
Yeah,
man.
What do you think is more important nowadays, the pitching or your position players? Because I haven't been watching the last like 3 years, so I'm like out of the game. I know people were complaining about home runs in the last few years.
I don't know.
Right.
You want both to be clicking at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like what we've had problems with in the past is when the pitching was really good, the hitting was not, and when the hitting was really good, the pitching was not.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a team chemistry thing. Like, I don't know. A lot of that stuff can like. The stuff going on in the locker room, to me, can translate onto the field. So if they're like, guys are just not vibing, whatever. Like, if position players are vibing with position players and pitchers are vibing with pitchers, when shit's going bad down here, like, and shit's going good on the other side, it's like, if they're not mingling, then it's kind of hard to build off that energy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's important. But I think the group they have now in the big leagues and coming to the big leagues, they've been together throughout the last 3, 4, 5 years. So there's a lot of chemistry, which is special to have. So we're not going to outbid the Dodgers or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But the chemistry you have, that can that can play an impact on performance.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that the Diamondbacks definitely have going on their side right now.
There's a shot. There's a shot you could be in the World Series this year and obtain the MVP. There is a shot.
There is a chance. I
I'm
wouldn't
make
bet on it.
A bold prediction right now. Levi Kelly, MVP of the 2023 World Series.
That'd be sick.
36 innings of relief.
And then he's gonna give a middle finger. He's gonna put a middle finger up, and then as he's getting the championship celebration, I'm going to the UFC.
Yeah, he doesn't shit down their leg.
There you go.
I think from now until, so what's it, 2023?
Mm-hmm.
2023 to 2028, like for the Diamondbacks, there's gonna be a group of guys that's pretty talented be on the big league team. So and hopefully I'm involved in that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
100%.
What else we got?
So switching gears a little bit, I just got out of the hospital.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you look great.
I feel great.
Yeah.
Damn it. It was a success there. I was up at the Mayo Clinic Cancer Center. I went in Thursday. I was pretty messed up the whole week. This experimental chemo, I don't know about this thing. Experimenting on me. I don't know how I'm feeling about that right now.
It's just a IV drip when you're taking it?
It's actually an oral chemo.
Oh.
So there's the hottest thing, biggest breakthrough in cancer probably in the last few years is CAR T cell therapy. So the T cell is the cell in our body that essentially kind of fights the cancer. They're kind of like soldiers. So these new therapies, there's a CAR T cell where they take a therapy, the first design, and you take the blood out. It's kind of like a bone marrow transplant. They re-engineer and kind of give your T cells a boost, like giving them military backpacks or whatever, and put them back in your body, and they're geared to fight cancer a little bit better. And there's been some incredible breakthroughs. There's been, what really gets to my heart with that breakthrough is there's been kids, like you got cancer centers, the pediatric cancer centers, where kids' lives are being saved, where they're just from these T cell boosters, and that's where it gets you in the heart, especially where kids are, because people are like, this and that causes cancer, but hey, you're missing out here. There's an entire hospital dedicated, or a section of pediatric cancer patients that are anywhere from newborns. You can even get cancer as a newborn, up to age 17. There's a lot of kids that are catching cancer. And what sense does that make if you're 4 years old and you catch cancer? It's not something you're doing in your life. It's a genetic thing. But anyways, the T cell thing, so what I'm getting here is the first use, it's an immunomodulator, but it's geared toward the T cells, and it's an oral form. So it's the first of its kind that would boost the T cells. So the idea is, instead of having going through a little bit of a more risky, involved process with a CAR T cell therapy, because there is some risk to that, especially for blood cancer. I've had friends that went into seizures, comas, lost some patients. So that's why there's a trial available on a wait list in Houston right now. I'm a little reluctant still. I want to see a little bit more evidence, but this oral pill is kind of exciting because you can kind of ease into it a little bit. However, this is my third cycle on this one, and there's going to need to be some definite modifications to this one. It's definitely hard on the body. For a patient like me, it's a little different because I feel like I'm bragging when I say that, but nobody's made it to this point. I'm at a point in my treatment where nobody's survived. I've survived 6 progressions of disease since an allogenic transplant. That's a donor transplant, which is nobody really survives one progression past that point. So there's something called GVH, graft versus host issues. And that's kind of what put me in the hospital this time. This chemo with the T cell boosters, the GVH can create a kind of a setting, a culture in your body for infection. So I developed mass infection in my body. It was going down my legs. The tumors are pressing on things. The tumors are growing, kind of things were popping up fast in my neck. It was hard to turn my neck. It was extremely painful, a lot of pain in the body, fevers. I was just shaking and just sweating. And it was interesting because when you really get deep into GVH issues, your body can't spike a fever. So you kind of demonstrate that you have a fever on the outside and in your head and everything, but you actually don't latch a fever. So I wasn't getting a fever when I came in the ER. So thank God my doctor is just an awesome guy. They already called in ahead. So when I got in the ER, I just went straight back there. And it still was kind of tough though to explain to people. They're like, you look like a healthy guy. You're this sick. And so it took a minute for my doctor to get involved and kind of explain, yeah, this guy is on the brink of death right now. We got to get him right up to I was actually back in bone marrow transplant unit, but I was in a specialized part of it. It's kind of like the ICU for bone marrow transplant. So they put me right in there. I saw my doctor at Mayo Clinic. I feel like Mayo Clinic is like the spot, especially for trials in the world. And I got very, very fortunate because last year I was dropped from my program. I did not have a doctor. It was hard to find a doctor. This guy took me on, didn't have to take me on, and got me in a trial. Really good dude, originally from Peru, just like our buddy Jaime. Super nice guy. And so he really oversaw a lot of care into my treatment. But one really crazy thing about this medication that I wasn't sure was happening, but I track everything. And I mentioned this to him because now I've done 3 cycles and I'm trying to establish patterns, but it's been hard to find. One pattern I found is getting into the last week of this chemo is I get crazy night terrors. And kind of like when I've had some trips in the past, I've had long 3-day trips in the hospital where I just, it would be kind of like, I've never done LSD, but I've done, like psilocybin, did I say that right? Mushrooms or whatever. And it kind of is a shade of that, but a lot deeper. So I'd kind of go into trips every time I close my eyes, and I kind of fall asleep a little bit, but I was awake, but I go into another reality. And it was always, sometimes I'd open my eyes and I thought I was out for a long time. Like I lived almost like living an entire life or living like a few months. And it always ended when I was about to wake up in some kind of horrible, nonsensible, kind of night terror, and I just wake up just drenched. So that was going on. And I brought it up to my doctor, and I was a little reluctant because these things are a little bit, some of the doctors are like, oh, this guy's weird. But he was like, well, in Peru, he said he knows there's a lot of malaria drugs that they're using out there, and he's around. There's a lot of a lot of them are derived from the plants in the jungle and stuff. And he said that he really thinks it is a strong possibility that this drug is producing something like that once it builds up in my body, that it's probably acting almost like a hallucinogenic a little bit. So that was kind of making it tough to sleep for a while, which was making my body not able to heal and stuff like that. And it sounds like a little thing and a little bit ridiculous, but it was pretty rough. So trying to get sleep and you're on the hospital and stuff, when you're in the bone marrow transplant place, it's another culture. It's a difficult place to understand. I talked to a couple of the veteran nurses. I always love it when I meet a veteran nurse in BMT because they're always special, just caring, gifted people that have been through a lot with their patients. So that was fun to talk to them because there's things that you go through in there that you can't even explain. It's not human, you know what I mean? The stuff that happens that you go through in these transplants. You hear about people getting heart transplants and kidney transplants. This is everything transplanted. Right. And it's a supernatural thing that happens, I think, when patients survive the bone marrow transplant. So there's a lot of special stuff going in there. And whenever I go in, sometimes I'm a little bit frustrated because I'm like, oh man, because I know when I go in, I don't heal as well as when you're at home. You don't have your optimal health thing. You don't have your routine and your bed and all the stuff that you do to you got people come in your room that poke you at 3 a.m. in the morning and stuff like that. It's a little frustrating. And so I was kind of in the ER waiting. There's always, you know, if you've been, a lot of us have been in the ER, you know, it takes a minute to wait to get a room or whatever. And, you know, we were waiting to get up to that specialized spot. And I was laying there and just kind of frustrated, like, oh man. And all of a sudden the chaplain in the hospital walked in. I never know what I'm going to get when the chaplain walks in. Like, it could be, you know, they have to be open to a lot of things. And this guy was awesome. And it was almost like immediately when I was talking to him, it was what I believe is the Holy Spirit hit me. And we went into conversation. He was a connector. He was, we started talking about scriptures. We prayed. We kind of put talking scriptures back and forth together. And it just put me in a much better state. And then I remembered, I feel like anytime I get I'm sent into the hospital for an assignment. So when I'm in there, that helps me, is that everybody I meet is what is this, why I'm here to this time? Is this person? And maybe, and I believe there's something there for me, but it also helps me feel like I'm useful when I'm in the hospital. So I'm always, you know, waiting, talking to somebody. And I had some just crazy stuff with other patients and some of the nurses, and tears, and, you know, people sharing their life stuff and going deep, because those night terrors, I wasn't sleeping much. So I'd be up with you know, staff and patients when, you know, in the middle of the night and things like that. But anyways, we had a lot of medicine, a lot of antibiotics. This is taking a minute here.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So in there is just, I try to exercise, and I was reflecting on this a lot. When you get sick, and everybody's been there, where you get real sick, you get the flu or some crap like that. And if you really think about it, you're not ever just at the same level of sickness in a 24-hour period. There's always a little window where you feel a little bit better, where it's like, oh, maybe it's going away, or, you know, you get a little breathing room. And I've learned over time, if you want to get better faster, that's when you got to push the limits and then tap. So whenever I feel, I mean, this is what I do. This is like my, you know, 11 years now. So it'd be like, if I'm, you know, experienced, you know, athlete or something in this level, I know when that window opens, I'm like, damn it, almost. Then I got to get up and I got to push. And then with the red blood cells down and everything, your lungs aren't working as good. So they hurt. Just pushing into the Untapped. And I really tried to push it as hard as I could with exercise and breath work and prayer, and going into praise, and just, you know, I was drenched a lot in the hospital, and you're hooked up to poles, so it's hard to change a shirt, and then you start shivering with the fevers because you're cold. But just pushing through those workouts the hardest into the Untapped. So I feel like even if you're feeling tired, or, you know, your body is feeling worn down and stuff like that, sometimes look for that window, hit that workout, and then once I hit it really hard, I try to clean up the best I could, and then I try to get my body into a state of just recovery and rest. So that was one revelation I had in there. But last night we had to do a scan and go through some stuff, and the doctor was like, well, he saw me working out, and he was like, the doctor that was on call, this was my lead doctor, he's like, man, he's like, I know you want out of here. I was like, oh yeah, but I understand too that we got a lot of things. It's good for me to be close to here, and it seemed like I definitely was getting better. I'm feeling better a little bit. The infection is getting under control a little bit. So he was like, we'll just release you if you'd like. So Ara was there at the time. We ended up leaving at 1 a.m. last night.
Oh, wow.
And then the plan is I'm going to head back maybe Monday or Tuesday and go back in the hospital, and they're going to do a little surgery. We got some impact into the trachea a little bit. So it kind of affects the wind a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's a little painful here. So we're going to go, there's a lot growing pretty rapidly into the neck, collarbone, chest area. So we're going to try to alleviate some of that in there, and then also get a sample to make sure this is the same cancer that's growing in other spots, because it's a little odd. It's just rapidly all of a sudden in that area. We're not really sure entirely what's going on. And with this experimental drug, that's, right, we want to make sure we know what's going on. So I'll probably go in, and then we'll probably, I'm leaning toward probably popping off of this trial. I'd like to, on one end, I think there's some benefits to it, but we can hit radiation in this trial, but we can't do, if we do another chemo, then I have to come out of the trial. So I'm leaning towards doing that. So we might do that this week too and pop out of it and then go back to just kind of a more comfortable chemo I'm a little more responsive to, so we can kind of stabilize the disease. The only problem with that is my body's starting to adjust to a lot of these. There's different options, and so we'll kind of rotate through some of these different types of chemos. But we need to be careful not to rely on them too much, and then just kind of hold out for the actual CAR T transplant deal.
That's the one in Houston.
Yeah, but I think that traveling would be such a stress on my body and everything. I've weighed that pretty deeply, that if we could keep it stable, the idea is to wait it out here. It might take 2 years, but to wait it out and do that CAR T here. Hopeful things are Cancer Treatment Centers of America is right now, I couldn't be treated there because there's no bone marrow transplant, but my old doctor from my old hospital, that's one reason they kind of changed there and they dropped me, is that he went to CTCA and he's starting with a couple of really good doctors, a bone marrow transplant unit there. So with that's going to bring a lot more trials, and in doing that opens, now we have Mayo Clinic and we have MD Anderson. We'll have CTCA that are 3 spots with BMTs, bone marrow transplant units for blood cancer patients can be treated there. And that'll bring more trials to Arizona, because right now we don't, for blood cancer patients, you got to go to Houston, Minnesota, Mayo, Cleveland Clinic. There's let's see, Stanford probably, and there's a couple other hospitals, Memorial Sloan, New York, but Arizona. But it's exciting because I think our state is getting stronger and stronger. We're such a new, rapidly growing city. I think that in 2 years we're going to have a really strong hospital system for that.
They're building something over by our field too.
Really?
Mayo, or maybe a surgery place, ortho.
Crazy.
I'm not sure what it is.
Mayo's grown. I was treated there. I was literally in the same room I was 10 years at Mayo Clinic, and that was just a trip. Like, it hadn't changed at all. So sometimes when I was tripping, and that put me in some weird, with some pretty crazy spots. But that place is just growing like crazy. They've grown 3 giant buildings there since I was there last. And they have one building that they built a nucleoproton kind of reactor thing, and radiation has changed so much too. This is actually like radiation, but it's proton therapy, and it's called knife therapy, and it's a radiation beam that hits the tumors. It's good for pediatric cancer patients, because I had, like, for example, I had radiation before to this area, but to get radiation here, I think your uncle, is he doing radiation?
No, I think just chemo.
Oh, I got you. Okay. And so we radiated here and here, but it gives you 3rd-degree burns, or it can if you need it more severe. I had it for a month. So it hit me here. It was a tough process. It was, you had to wear a mask and be strapped to the table when you were getting radiated. You don't feel it when you're getting radiated, but you do later. So I got to the point where I was battling getting on a feeding tube or whatever, because you just can't swallow it. In other words, I could take over this whole podcast with this shit, but I couldn't sorry. I couldn't swallow any food. And my doctor was like, man, if you can't start eating, we're going to put you on a feeding tube. And I've been on I ended up getting on a feeding tube later, but getting on a feeding tube is, once you go there, it's hard to get off, and it's real hard on your body. So that was the last thing I wanted, and kids are little and stuff. So I was like, man, what can I do? I had ended up, craft beer sounds good. I wanted an IPA. So I got a little drop down. I was like, got another drop down. And so I ended up getting the whole bottle down, and I just kind of relaxed, and it's like, no shit. So I had another one, and then had a huge bowl of ramen. And from then on, I told my doctor I happened to be a craft beer guy too, so he brewed beer. He'd started bringing it in for me, and so I drink like 2 or 3 at night and eat, and we got through the. But anyways, that proton thing, it's a large building. It's this giant building. I got to tour it when it was built, this reactor, but it creates this little. So you don't, when you get hit in your tumor, which some of these tumors press on a nerve, it's the worst pain you can imagine because you can't turn that nerve off at all. So for a child especially, it doesn't hit the surrounding area, it just hits that one tumor point. So man, they have ASU is there too. The medical school is literally on the campus of Mayo. Oh, wow. So they're growing like crazy.
My uncle started, I think, chemo yesterday, and it was nonstop for 48 hours.
Oh yeah. I
was like, I didn't know if that was normal or what.
Yeah. A lot of them will do that. They'll be on a drip. There's some chemos, but they might hit him like that and then give him a break or whatever. But there's blends too. Like they don't do this as much anymore. This is why I'm running with that record, and I don't think it'll get broken because I did chemo at a time when if it failed, they started using experimental stuff that was being used at Germany through the Mayo Clinic. Had a connection there, so they would do big blends of chemo because they knew how to treat the responses to the chemo better, but it would put you through. So you do blends of chemo. So I would do 7 chemos, and that would take like a week to do. You just do all that stuff, but I mean, if I had to do that, you can't survive that for very long, that intensive chemo. Yeah. The idea is to hit it really hard and then start backing off as you go on, and your body does better with the cancer.
It was hard for him to get, like, he was just getting more sick and more sick and more sick, and they weren't starting the chemo. And then he called my dad and was like, I need you to, like, take over and basically raise hell to get the chemo. Yeah. Like, I'd rather just...
Oh, so smart.
I don't want to die waiting on the chemo.
Oof. And when you're sick, that's so good. There's an example of something that's so powerful, so many people need. I try to tell other patients this is, it's one thing that I've been fortunate to do. I navigate all this stuff myself, but sometimes it's overwhelming. It's a huge stress doing that stuff. So that your dad did that for him, and he's got that team around him right now, especially when you're new to it. That's huge. That could save his life. That's huge.
I'm trying to think what my mom said that when they started, like, the chemo took him, like, he's been like asleep or whatever. So I haven't talked to her about it, but she's like, when he started the chemo, he's kind of been down, like, since the chemo.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what's normal. What?
Yeah, that's pretty normal. I'm sure that he's at a good spot. He's at Cleveland Clinic. So the hard part with that is if you start vomiting, you can't turn it off. So it sounds like they probably hitting him with vomiting blockers and the right anti-nauseas and just keeping his body in a state where he can just rest. That's good.
Yeah, they put a stent in his liver too.
Wow.
They said that got rid of all the pain.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's under good care. Okay, yeah, I think he's going to turn it. We everybody pray. What's his name?
John Carter.
John Carter. Let's do check-ins with him. Let's pray for this dude. Let's put the word out, man. Let's get this guy turned around, man. Let's get rid of this cancer.
Yep.
If you did travel, would you be trying to drive, like, to, say, Houston, or would you fly?
That almost came up because
private jet
driving would have to be the option, right?
It's such a hard thing because it's a really good question, because I went through that last year because my BMT at the old place was like, you either go to this or we have nothing for you. You'll be dropped. That's it. You won't find another. And they told me, you're not going to live through the year. First of all, we killed that, right? Right? We killed through 2022. I don't want to go back to that doctor now. Living at me, angry, telling me, you're not going to live. And out of care, deep care, she'd been my doctor for 3 or 4 years. But we went through that same thing, because the problem with flying is it's definitely it's weird that for cancer patients, if your immune system is down and you've done a chemo and you got cancer in your body, you're probably going to get sick. You're going to catch some shit on
bad oxygen too.
Exactly. It's rough on the body. But that driving all the way to Houston, that was a rough one too. At MD Anderson, it's like a city there where you go to the building's 28 stories or something like that, and it's a mile circumference campus. So they got living quarters in like a city, places to eat and things. So well, the idea was, as we were going to drive back and forth, I was going to drive sometimes because we got the kids and stuff. But honestly, it's like, when I think about it, if I was there, I know I'm not going to heal as good because I'm going to be thinking about the boys and stuff, and then I'm not close to where I am. I know I got to travel back and forth. And then what if you got to confront, well, is this a place I want to die? What happens if I die here? You know what I mean? And right. I feel too that, hey, as long as I can keep myself stable, I mean, right now I'm presenting pretty, okay. Right. I'm working out pretty hard and stuff. But if I did get into a situation where it was just real rough, then and that was the last option, I might give it a crack. But I'm just praying we don't have to do that.
Yeah, good.
They were talking about at church today because you're talking about that lady getting angry. What were they saying? Something about anger. He was talking. Oh, you can never be angry at something not that you can never be angry, but like typically the things that you're angry about are like connected to the things that you love. Like if somebody's flirting with Ara, you're gonna get angry at them because you love her.
Yeah.
Or like good
example.
Like for me, if people are talking like working out or stuff like that, and they're going about, to me, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? I get angry, but it's because I'm so passionate about that.
Heck yeah.
He was talking about if you're just gonna get angry and go off, like to look beneath the anger, because that's stemming from like love or like a passion or something like that. It's coming from typically it's not coming from an angry spot.
Yeah, I try to always identify when I'm talking out, like I do get a lot of people ask me about music and how to produce and all that kind of stuff. I try to identify when it's like, all right, am I passionately angry right now in a healthy way to where they can understand, or can they literally not understand and it's just coming off as anger?
Right.
Because they're not going to realize until a year later, 6 months later, oh, he wasn't angry. He was just, this. But
he also says something like it's impossible to be wise and angry at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What was that story? What was the guy's name?
Nahum?
Nahum. His story, it like goes to, he's like a baller basically. The guy was saying, and
well-known soldier, but he has leprosy.
Right, he has leprosy, so he goes to get, he's looking for, somebody says, go here, you need to go here, and he's like, okay, I'll go there, whatever. And when he goes there, they send somebody that's not like to the status that he wants, and he gets like mad or whatever about it, because he's like, I'm Nahum, I'm supposed to be getting all this, whatever. And he was the pastor was saying, you're looking up here, you're looking at all this stuff, but you're what did he say, where you're gonna get healed is like right at your feet. Like you want the president of the freaking, for us, like you want the president to tell you, but it's the damn janitor that's got the wisdom. Like, don't get caught up in the status of the message that's being told. Just hear the message that's being told, regardless of the person's status presenting it.
Yeah,
that's
an interesting thing.
That
guy was good. Yeah,
that's something I was stuck on. This when that chaplain walked at the first, when you're really sick and you don't want somebody to come in the room, and then he sat down, he wanted to connect and talk sports. He was trying to connect with me, and I'm like, damn it, get out of here. And I just prayed to, I've been like, God, help me, man. I don't want to be in here. I was like, and here I am, like, get out of here. And that's the guy that ended up saving me. That's a good reminder to always be listening. We call on God. Sometimes he's right there. We just don't see it.
And he said, he was talking about how many times do you say, oh, I thought, and I thought, you thought it was going to be this way, and it wasn't the way that you thought it was going to be. And so that's why you're angry. Wow. Just let it be what it is.
Yeah.
Like, don't, because I was thinking too, like, people say to manifest or whatever.
Right.
But that's almost like your thought, you're playing it out in your head the way that you think it's supposed to be.
Good call.
And then when it's not that way, you're all pissed off.
100%.
because you played this whole.
Yeah.
I feel at the field. I feel that a lot. Like I get mad about whatever because 2 days before I've played my whole outing out in my head the way I want it to go. When it's and then it's not exactly how it is, or my whatever is not exactly how I thought it was going to be, then I'm all pissed off. It's like, bro, just go fucking play. Interesting stuff.
That's good stuff. My eyes are all messed up too. Every doctor that came in looks at my left eye. I don't know if the camera can see it. Like, are you okay? What's wrong with your eye? That was like the first thing everybody said.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird, it's a GVH response. Anytime I get GVH, grass versus host disease, donor immune system attacks my regular immune system. It attacks the left eye for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Can you see out of it fine, or is it
it's pretty blurry. When I was coming out of transplant, there was like a month where I was blind in this eye. I couldn't see and I don't know why it went there. It just, a lot of times it goes to where they say it goes to where there's a weakness and it tries to help, but it gets over revved and ends up hurting. So there must have been some sort of weakness there.
Would you rather never be able to see or be able to see and then lose your vision?
Oh, man.
Probably never be able to see.
Dude, I think be able to see, just like be able to see, and then if you lose it, like at least you could see for a little bit.
It's strange because I played this through a lot. What if, when there's been times where I had an infection going on. We thought it was a snake bite at first, but it was a mosquito bite, and little mosquito bites. We were getting mosquitoes in the house and they were giving me infections, GVH in my body. And I ended up rushed to the nearest emergency room, and they put me at level 5 and put me right into surgery room. And cause I had streaks going up. And so the doctor said, he put a line on a black marker where the line was, and he said, if it goes a little bit further, we're gonna have to take your arm. Here it is, my left arm. So I had to play through. In that time, I was like, what would it be like not to have your arm? And it's like so shocking to consider that if you don't have your sight when you do have it. But these things, like for example, getting a port in my body, getting all this stuff done to me, it's like, at first it's a shock, but then you sort of adapt, and it almost becomes like, I think God gives this to us, is it almost becomes where you appreciate life more. I think I've met so many people that lose their limb or they're paraplegic and all those kinds of things, and they've kind of adapted to life, but they almost appreciate life better. It's almost like as long as you don't get trapped into that bitter, angry thing, you have a capacity where life becomes somehow more beautiful.
Yeah. You go through that, so now you appreciate. It's hard to appreciate anything if you haven't went through anything, you know?
That's true.
Like when I go through hard things, I'm almost excited about it. Like it's tough, but if I feel you, step outside of like the situation, I'm almost like, shit, I don't know what's about to come of this, but it's going to be sick, whatever it is.
I think you have to. When it gets really rough, that's something I focused on too, is those night terrors are kind of getting to me, and I'm, praying about it and stuff, kind of a little frustrated, and thinking I'm being prepared for something bigger. I'm just being prepared I'm being built up. I'm being stronger, and that helps you get through those situations.
To me, it's almost like God is creating a testimony.
There you go.
Like
there you go. Ooh,
whatever.
Good word, man. That's nice.
Through all these things, if things were just so great, then you wouldn't have a story.
That's true.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Did you get? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I've been, especially with more shows coming up and stuff like that. For me, it's not that I used to get nervous really, but I used to think a lot about the show leading up to it, or like at my work when I'll go and travel with the band on tour and stuff. I'll get all nervous about, oh shit, here comes the show, or like whatever. Being mindful of like, when I get in those situations, I'd always be like, man, I can't wait to get back to the hotel, or I can't wait to get back to my house to relax and stuff. And being really thankful for the moments that I am like previous to that, being like, oh, okay, this is the moment that I'm always wishing for when I get to those spots.
Be in it once you get there.
And I'm like, shoot, I'm already there. And then I worry way less about that thing coming up, if at all,
That's
beautiful. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
I said like, what was the quote? like just be rather than just do. Like if you can just be in what you're doing, then that's like, to me, you can't be in flow unless you're just in it. If you're just being while you're doing whatever you're doing. If you're always like, I got to do this, and whatever.
Yeah.
I almost became more impressed with how still you can be rather than how much you can do.
Definitely.
Like I used to be so impressed by, David Goggins. And I'm still impressed by all that shit, but like I'm more impressed with the guy that can just chill, just like be.
Yeah.
No matter what, and maybe he is in whatever he's doing, but the person that can just be where they're at is more impressive to me than the person that's doing all these things to, like, I don't know, not be where they're at.
Yeah, you always talking about seeing people tense up when they do the cold bath and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been noticing that in the sauna way more, and like the sauna at the gym is not, it's not OPT. It's not 200 degrees. And I see people tense up in there. They like are shaking the whole time they're in there. And just, there's no rest. Rarely is anybody still in there, And it's not like I'm people
breathing
watching.
hard too, right?
Yeah.
How many people have their eyes open in the ice bath?
Huh, that's
Do
interesting.
you think most people close their eyes?
I think they do, and they have those same people usually have their arms out too.
So if you're closing your eyes because you want to escape where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you can just look and you're in the ice bath and you're just in it.
You're in the moment.
Right. You're
Good call.
okay
Good
with the
example.
cold and being in there.
One less sensory detail. I don't know, but I did a Headspace for a really long time. I still do, but the app, the meditation app. And before every meditation, they say the same thing. Keep your eyes open and find a still focus.
Right.
And like that has always been my mindset. Now doing the ice bath, doing meditation, doing sauna is like, okay, let me find the stillness with my eyes open. Because one less sensory detail, it does. It like makes you feel better. You're like, all right, whatever. But if you can be okay with having your eyes open, I think it's really powerful.
I've always until Joey's the one that told me that, open your eyes.
Yeah.
Don't always close your eyes. Like there's a time and a place to close them and turn off, but there's also a time and a place just to be in there and just be okay with being in there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's good stuff.
Like meditation. Everybody closes their eyes for meditation. Why? What are you're trying to escape where you're at? Or what?
Like a place like the sauna, it's hard. Like you hear somebody open the door, like, oh shoot, let me open my eyes and see who it is real quick. And so having the still focus where you're just soft haze, is much
We used
better.
to do that at IMG. Now I realize like how advanced it was, but like in the moment I didn't realize. We would go on these walks and it would be you were trying to think like smell, see, and hear. What are the whole time you're on this walk, what are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? The whole time. But people want to just turn it off. They want
to do that with the boys. That's good.
They want to go earplugs on, like running.
That's everybody in the sauna.
I get so pissed off when people run with headphones in.
I don't get it. No, I don't get it.
It gets under my skin.
Yeah. Or
Because
hiking,
it's like-
hiking too.
I guess if you're trying to run and you're like trying to see how far you're going to run, but I guess that's the switch that I've made is I don't give a fuck about how far you've run. I'll run farther,
Yeah.
But if you can just run and just be there running, that's hard for me to do. So I'm more impressed with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff everyone escape when you. I like that thing because there's so much to listen to when you're out for a run outside that is interesting as what you would be putting into your earbuds.
Right. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to cut weight or some shit, then maybe turn on some shit and go cut the weight. But if you're trying to run for a coping thing or trying to run for mindfulness, like you're not being very mindful if you're listening to Kevin Gates.
No.
No,
like you said, there's a time and place for it.
I don't know how mindful that can be.
Yeah. What are you more focused on, the music or your run?
Right. There's a time and a place for freaking Kevin Gates, but if you're trying to.
Unless you're Dana and you're working on a song or something, you need to analyze it while you're running. It's kind of killing too.
I don't know. I separate those.
Yeah,
things.
I know you do. When
I think that's why
and stuff.
Well, a lot of your music doesn't have words, right?
For the most part, like I have to go and seek somebody out to do vocals for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like meditation music typically doesn't have words.
Yeah.
because those are other people. That's somebody else's thought or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and most of the time, the music that I'm making because I can't find that anywhere else. So I'll make it for myself meditation wise, so I can listen to it over and over again. You know.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for giving me music to make the greatest workout video of all time, man. That was a hard choice. I almost didn't get the video sent gun because I was browsing through them. I was like, this is. I'm gonna go ahead and listen to this one. I was trying to choose which one.
Yeah, I got a million for you.
Did I do good? Did you think I made a good choice on the track? I bet you were like, what is he going to choose?
I don't know. I was choosing you gave me those keywords to kind of go off of.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at a bank of 500 songs. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know what to send them. Like, what if he hates all of these? So, no, I didn't. I mean,
I can't. It's hard to really get into especially your music, and you got to play your songs a lot. Because there's a lot of stuff going on there, and there's a lot of creativity behind them. So that's why I got stuck. But I whittled it down to 3 that hit me right away, and then I just listened to them over. And then that's the one that really hit me. The more I listened to it, the more it seemed to fit. I prayed into it a little bit, but I hope I made a good choice there. Everybody watch that video, but listen to the song on it.
So do you, with your music, if somebody uses that, like, let's say the Diamondbacks want to play it mid-inning. Like, you have that where they would have to pay you for that. Because I was listening.
Dana's too nice. He needs to do that.
I was listening to Impulsive, Bruce Buffer.
Yeah.
And if you use Let's Get Ready to Rumble or whatever, or if you even say that on something that he wants money off of,
crazy.
It's all, you got to pay for it. You can't just say it.
Oh yeah, no. There's a lot that goes into it. In the case of like the Diamondbacks taking something, they'd be either buying the sound themselves and then licensing it to where now if somebody else plays it, even they're making money off of it,
right?
And then they maybe pay me a flat fee, or they license it from me, and every time they pay it or play it, they pay me,
right?
So I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about it, and I mean. In an ideal world, you have a manager, you have a lawyer, and they're going through those things with you and making sure, because but Timbo Sugar Show, they use a lot of my stuff. If I were to go and release that music, like the stuff I'm sending Kyle, none of it's released.
Right.
If I go and release the stuff that they've used, maybe down the line there could be complications. If like a Warner Brothers were to buy the song from me, they'd be like, hey, Timbo Sugar Show, you got to take that video down that uses it, you know? So, I mean, yeah, there's a ton of money to be made.
He was talking about how they do it like per season. Because he was his brother's manager when it all started. That does Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
And he was, his brother was saying or whatever, and then Bruce took over the business side of it and was like, hey, like emailing all these places, like, you can't use that. Like, unless you come to me and you pay us to use that for the season. Yeah. And here's the rate, whatever.
I mean, and if contracts are written up already and proper, you're basically invoicing them at that point. Yeah. You're saying, hey, you did play it this many times. This is how much you owe us. Yeah. And they're like, shit, I don't have that. Well, guess what? We're going to court and I'm going to sue you.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I think it's for you, you're generous with your music, and you wanted to share with your friends and things like that. But if you're sharing with friends and you're trying to help them and maybe get yourself out there more, that friend needs to promote you then. Right. They need to be giving you shout outs every time it's being used. They need to be helping build you, and if somebody isn't doing that, then it's like, oh man.
Yeah. I think at some point, like early on in your career, it's all good to be generous. Right. But at some point you have to put on the business hat.
There you go. Yeah.
And this is part of it. Like,
yeah. I think from a creation standpoint, I've always just been like, all right, here's this. Like, I made some stuff for Brandon back in the day for his videos and stuff. I even made like an intro song for something of his, and it's like I always had the mindset like, I'm just gonna make another one. Yeah. This isn't. I mean, like I don't attach myself to the music as much as somebody might, or attach myself to my art that much.
So there's value that, like Timbo Sugar Show playing your shit. There's value to that, but if you're not bringing an equal value, then
Right.
you got to compensate.
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
right. 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
unfortunate. I think it's easy for people not to understand how much work goes into building that skill. You might be able to put a song together for somebody in a couple hours. I don't know if that's true or not, but just for example, but the work in the hours, thousands of hours that went behind you getting to that point of specializing your skills, you do your own engineering
Right.
and mastering, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. The people that I know that got at that level to be able to release professionally, they just focused on one area and
Right.
grew. So that level of skill, the hours that goes into that, people just think, oh, he's just tooling around and making music. That kind of, that's like, damn it.
No, it's really true. I used to think about that with the beats I would send JX, and even the ones I send JX now. It's like I don't just send them just random stuff. It's
Right.
like, no, I might have spent 2 hours making it, but I spent 3 or 5 hours mixing it, making it sound really good, you know?
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. More people end up having opinions about my art than I have, you know, which I just keep my head down and just keep making stuff. And who
It's
knows?
exciting to watch. Now you get some big time shows. You know, your stuff is
Yeah.
getting out there, man.
in like a genre of music that I never really
Right.
made.
That's how it always is.
Yeah.
Man.
Like the stuff I sent Kyle is like hip hop beats.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff I'm playing in Chicago is like dance music.
Yeah. I just started this book, Thinking Like a Monk.
Interesting.
And it's about this guy that became a monk, and he was saying how anyone, like a monk isn't like some guy with a freaking whatever. It's like you got rock stars, you got
Yeah.
freaking people that were in jail, you got all these people that are now monks, like people that you would never expect.
Wow.
And I just started at, so I don't know his whole story, but from what I read, it's like he became a monk, and then his whatever it's called told him like, hey, you need to, I feel it's going to be more powerful for you to not be a monk anymore and go tell the world about this, the
That's-
things that you
yeah.
learned from this.
That's the creator of Headspace, Andy Puttycombe. Same thing. His master told him the exact same thing. Like, hey, I think it's your time to go.
I wonder if it's the same guy.
It might be, yeah, because that's his exact same story. And yeah, he didn't
Let's see, I got
expect
the guy right here.
going out there. But there's multiple places to go, and like Russia, I think is a hotbed for monasteries. Is it?
Yeah, Jay Sheedy's this guy's
Okay.
name. Think like a monk. Train your mind for peace and purpose every day. Interesting. So I'm gonna read that.
Nice. You get. It's kind of cool. We just had most of the Nelk boys were here in the same building on the Timbo Sugar Show, and I just watched the episode recently, and it's a lot of fun. And I want to know your guys' thoughts on that a little bit. They're fun guys, I think, and interesting because they're such like Kyle was on there, and he's such a good communicator and very strong in business. But they would talk a lot about partying and having fun and some fun. I mean, I was just busting up sometimes, but then they drop some really strong gems of business information in there, and I think the guys are awesome. I like them.
Yeah, I listened to the Kyle and
Theo Von.
I listened to that
the-
one.
that's the
I
one
never
I
miss
listened
it.
to.
That was a good one.
Kyle, Theo Von, Kyle, and Bradley Martin.
Oh,
Yeah, good call.
I don't connect that well with like all the partying stuff because I'm not a huge partier, but they're a bit like I've
Yeah.
learned a lot from a business standpoint. And same thing with Sugar, like not
Oh,
even
yeah, he's a genius.
just kind of watching from the outside looking in is like he's making this move for this reason,
Right.
And like it's all strategic.
What's the common thing between them though? Like what is, you know, is it just them being focused on one single thing?
I
on
think
what
it's
they want,
chess.
or-
Like
okay.
they're playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers.
Yeah.
Like Sean's car will be purple and green, and then he'll release purple and green merchandise.
Yeah.
branding geniuses, and then I feel like they're really good at connecting with people and kind of like I watch Kyle study people. He's really good at studying he's got a good bullshit meter, I think. And and I think Sugar too, the same thing. They've gotten it. It's kind of like you've got that too. You've trained yourself, because when you become more, I think, successful and you're becoming kind of famous, you gotta train yourself. Either otherwise you're gonna get taken advantage of and get sucked down into a bad spot.
I think probably part of it too is like there was Sean had to grind and like work on himself and all these things to get to the level that he got to fighting. Yeah. Which has just separated him in a business world too, because he's constantly improving like other aspects of his life. So like the mind and the business and just like your intelligence progresses as well, because just from a health standpoint, like he's doing everything right. So his brain is running on a higher frequency than like somebody that's not taking care of themselves. Interesting with the Nelk boys is like they party a lot, whatever. But I think Kyle always kept the steering wheel in his hand and didn't let anyone else kind of control the boat. Yeah. So Kyle had this bigger picture in mind when maybe other people around him that were helping build the company didn't have that massive picture, like the Bob Menery thing.
Good call.
Like Kyle doesn't fuck around with that shit because he's driving. At the end of the day, it's Kyle's thing. Yeah. And he's driving the ship, and he's not going to let anyone else steer it a different way. And I think Sean's the same way. Like Sean's driving Sean's ship. Like he doesn't even have an agent, I don't think. Like he negotiates all of his stuff on his own because he's not going to let somebody else steer it one way that he doesn't.
He's not scared. I honestly, I would be scared if I was him. Yeah. I'd be like, oh shit, like I need somebody to come and do this deal for me. I don't know if I'm going to do everything right. And da, 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 da.
But he's probably so confident because of all the shit he's worked on himself for how long to become a good fighter. Yeah. Which that also translates into business and everything else.
Man, how about the bullshit with Steve Will Do It? YouTube they'll ban you if you even play him in your video.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he do?
I'm not even really sure what he did. Sure. I know it, it's like in the I think Andrew Tate's band as well, right? Yeah. Speaking the truth, as far as I know, he's a good dude. I like Steve Will Do It. Darn it, that makes me mad.
Yeah. That's an interesting, I don't know how it, I guess though, if I'm YouTube and I start YouTube today and it's my thing, and you come on there and post something on my thing and I don't like it, I can, because it's my thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So like if Steve Will Do It wanted to, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. Right. If Steve Will Do It wanted to start a YouTube, then it was Steve Will Do It's YouTube, he could post what Steve Will Do It wanted to post. Yeah. But if he's posting on my platform that I created, I don't like it,
it's a tough topic.
Then I can exit.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's like they pick and choose.
Where should the government step in and kind of regulate to make it fair? Because then you got YouTube is in Google, and that they run so much of it's kind of like taking the place of network TV now. And what is we know we get biases in there influencing the kids and stuff, and the controlling factors behind it. And I know that a lot of YouTube is becomes so against where Steve Will Do It stands politically. You know what I mean? And where that part of it is why I'm really rooting for Twitter right now and what Elon Musk is doing. YouTube is kind of making me mad, but they have a monopoly on it right now. I mean, if you want to make money and kind of doing what we're doing, we got to post to YouTube. I'm hoping in the future Twitter.
So who created YouTube?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah. So, but whoever owns it, I get
Google owns it now.
Google owns it. So who created Google? Yeah, I don't know, but whoever's running the show, right? I mean, it's their show. Yeah. So they can pick and choose what they want. Yeah. And if we as an outside person don't like it,
competitive market,
then you got to make something else.
Yeah, the people need to stand up and
that's a bigger like metaphor for things too, because I think about that in just life in general. People complaining, oh, I don't like how this is, or I don't like how gas is, and all that kind of stuff. Listen, if you don't want to live in the system, you want to fight the system. Go buy a plot of land and go live without the system. Nice. You can do it.
Where it becomes, to me, it becomes wrong is when you're like arresting people and stuff. Like if the what's Tate call it, the people that are after him, he calls it something.
I know what you're talking about.
But if
the Matrix,
if the Matrix is really coming after you, and now it's becoming legal stuff, and now you're getting arrested for wrong. I don't know the situation. Maybe he should be arrested. Maybe he shouldn't. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's when it becomes like, if you're arresting people because you don't like what they said about so and so, it's like, especially in a country that's built around free speech and freedom, essentially. That's where it becomes. But I mean, Steve Willdoit hasn't been arrested or anything like that. So
right. Well, Andrew Tate being in Romania, I'm leaning towards no, because it's just too much of a coincidence that the day after he got into it with what's her name, Greta he goes into, he gets arrested. I think there is. I'm with Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I don't know enough about I think the things that he's being convicted of are pretty serious.
Yeah,
like it's not good.
I think of him bragging when he was talking to Tim and Sugar about, you got to see what happens here with the girls in Romania and that kind of stuff. That side of it, maybe you got a little too far into that avenue.
I mean, nothing he does helps his situation. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know anything about it.
I don't know.
I honestly don't really
care.
Yeah. I don't really care.
Yeah. There's always going to be another, like, that's the thing about all these people that, whatever, there's always going to be another one.
Yeah.
Like, there's always going to be another person come. There's always going to be another Steve Willdoit. There's always going to be another whatever. It's going to continue. These people will go away, and there's always going to be somebody else coming in.
Yeah. Nobody's replacing Levi Kelly.
No, they will. They will. But I think it's powerful to know that, though. To just be aware that it's like, bro, you're not invincible. No matter what. You could.
Good call.
I'll walk out here and get hit by a bus.
Man, it's true. Yep.
This play, like, shit's still going to happen. Like Diamondbacks are still going to play.
What just happened in Turkey and Syria? Earth could split open right here. And
man, you never know.
You know,
people get mad sometimes when I say that. It's like, bro, you could die. Like, and they're like, bro, what are you getting so serious for? I'm like, it's true.
The reality. Like,
this just is what it is. I'm not trying to be dark or anything, but it's true.
Right on. Well, what do you think, Dana? We went on, I just saw it's 3, or the time we're at right now.
Hour 30.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I'm feeling
I figured out how to, like, downsize the files that we have for the Libsyn account so that we can go as long as we kind of want.
Heck yeah.
We won't have a limit now. So
right on. But, I'm grateful to everybody. We had these shorts on YouTube. They seem to be the deal right now. We got one of those took off.
Attention span.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Literally,
I guess we got to make more shorts now, but I'm loving to see the other platforms are starting to take off too. Little by little, we're just going to grind away and build up a audience with every, not an audience, we're building a team here. So thanks for everybody that's on our team. We'd love to hear your comments and ideas and encouragement. Good times ahead.
Good to go. Peace, boys.
Well, all right, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you.